Okay, welcome back. Outdoor radio show on WKHM, Jackson's News Talk 970 AM, 101.5 FM. Everybody's starting to think about spring, including yours truly. And if you're a whitetail hunter, you know it's a 365-day-a-year gig. There is a big deer hunting and habitat seminar with Don Higgins coming up at Shupex Sporting Goods here in just a couple weeks. We've been talking about it. Don is a successful trophy whitetail hunter. He's an outdoor writer. His articles have been in just about every magazine you can think of. He's got a couple of books on hunting trophy whitetails, and he's also the president of Real World Wildlife Products, and he's got his big seminar on Saturday, April 6th at Shupex. Hey, Don, how you doing?
Good. How you, Jamie?
Doing really good. So, hey, Don, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Central Illinois.
Central Illinois. Okay, so you're going to be coming up, and am I right that people are starting to get spring fever here and think about food plots and some habitat stuff?
Yeah, I think the long winter's just about over, and a serious whitetail hunter, he's thinking about deer 365 days a year. Every season brings new chores and new challenges. It's about food plot season, so a lot of guys are getting ready for that.
So I don't know if this is the right or wrong thing, but I've had my leaf blower out. I've got 7 or 8 little food plots on my 45 acres, and I've been trying to get the leaves blown out, and I'm just about sick of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's been a long winter. For us down here in Central Illinois, it started about the middle of October, at least a month earlier than it normally does, and it just hadn't let up yet. So.
Yeah.
I don't know, spring's right around the corner, I hope.
Well, the moods are going to be improving for sure. So what are you going to be talking about at Shupex? It says, come learn how to make your hunting property the best, capital best, that it can possibly be. And I don't want to ruin the whole thunder, but I guess tease a little bit what you're going to be talking about at Shupex here in a couple weekends.
Well, I own a small property, 120 acres to be exact, and I've been pretty successful at growing and killing some really nice bucks. I capped it all off in 2017 when I shot a 206-inch buck on my property. Wow. That I'd watched grow up since he was a 2.5-year-old. The year I shot him, he was 6.5, and he eclipsed that magical 200-inch mark. But I've shot several others here that are Boone and Crockett quality, and I'm just going to share some of the tips that or some of the things I picked up over the years, and help folks choose their spring products and show them how. It's not going to be a big sales pitch for Real World. It's going to be more of an educational thing that folks can take with them, for the rest of their lives as they look at seed products and mineral products for their deer and things like that. It's more education than it is anything.
Don, I got to believe it's a combination of more than just a food plot or more than just habitat. It's got to be, or passing a buck for 4 or 5 years. It's a combination of a lot of things to get big bucks to be on your property.
Right. It's a complete program or complete system. Providing the best nutrition possible is part of it. But I tell a lot of my clients, I'm a consultant that works all across the Midwest, and I tell them that if you want to consistently kill mature bucks, you've got to hunt them on the properties where they spend their daylight hours, and that means where they bed. If you're one property off, your odds of killing a buck are about 10% what they are if you're on the same property he beds.
Because do you hear this story a lot? My property's got all kinds of does, but I don't really see the bucks until it's the rut, and then they come through, and maybe I'll get one and maybe I won't, but I don't really get a bunch of trail pictures. But then the neighbors who have that habitat that's sweet, they say, what are you talking about? I got 15 different bucks using my property.
Yeah, I hear that all the time, and you got to provide the deer what they need most. So if you've got it, if I tell my clients, think of your property as one square on a giant checkerboard of other squares. You got to give the deer every reason possible to spend daylight hours on your square instead of the other squares. So, that's kind of the basis of what the seminar is going to be about is making your square the best square on the whole checkerboard.
Yeah, but a buddy of mine that I shoot archery with, he would never be able to do one of these seminars like you're doing, but he always says, He says it just like this. He would say, I've always said the 3 most important things about deer hunting are location, location, and location.
Absolutely. But a landowner can make his location better than it already is.
And you're going to go over some tips of the trade, the things that you've done that have helped you become successful at this seminar coming up at Shupex on April 6th, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, do people tend to, is it kind of a question and answer kind of thing towards the end? Can people ask you stuff?
Well, I actually encourage questions throughout. As we talk about different topics, if someone has a question on that topic, just raise your hand or speak up, because I want to make sure everyone's questions are answered. And the best way to do that is while we're on a topic, that's the time to bring it up and let's go over it and discuss it.
Well, I want to ask you one thing, but I don't want to steal the thunder of your seminar. This is almost
Okay.
almost kind of personal on what I'm doing right now. What's your thoughts on frost seeding right now?
Frost seeding is the very best way to plant a lot of different seed blends. A clover, for example, I've had better results frost seeding than any other way. Switchgrass is another one. Although, with frost seeding switchgrass, the earlier the better. If you can get it done in January, February, that's even better than March and early April. With clover, the later in the season, the better. But frost seeding is a great way to establish plots.
And the frost seeding works for the finer seed like a clover because it can really kind of get into cracks when it freezes and thaws. Is that the theory?
Yeah, that smaller seed, the freezing and thawing kind of works that seed into the ground a little bit and gets good seed-to-soil contact, which aids in good germination. So it doesn't work with bigger seed, and a lot of those seeds, say soybeans, for example, they're not going to germinate until the soil temperature gets up 60, 65 degrees, and you would have problems with the seed rotting and things like that. So it only works with certain seeds, but clover just happens to be one of them that it works great.
All right, so again, the seminar is coming up on Saturday, April 6th. It's really open to everybody. It's free, but they do ask you at Shupex if you could kind of call ahead and reserve a spot because they're going to do some light refreshments for everybody, and they just kind of want an idea of how many people are going to be at the seminar. Hey, let me ask you before I let you go, I'm sure this never gets old. Tell me about that big whopper, that 206er. Tell me the story of that.
Well, it's quite a story, and I'm actually going to show video footage of me shooting that buck at the seminar, but
cool.
I'm also going to show footage of me passing him the year before when he scored in the 180s. But I shot my first 200-inch buck back in 2004, and my goal was to do it again, and it took me 13 years to finally get it done. And I'm going to show pictures of this buck from the time he was 2.5 years old up until 6.5 when I shot him, and how he grew each year, and how I held him on my place to keep the neighboring landowners from shooting him. When he was a 3, 4, and 5-year-old, he was over 170 each of those years, and most hunters would not let that buck walk. And I was just blessed to have him on my farm, and I'll tell the whole story, but I'll not only tell it, I'm going to show it through pictures and video footage.
You're right. I mean, even if you're somebody that says, I just want to grow a big buck, once that thing gets to be 170 or 180, it gets real hard to pass, doesn't it?
Well, I've been doing this for over 40 years, so, I've just slowly raised the bar. There was a time when I was shooting little bucks just like everybody else, and it's just been a long, continual process of slowly raising the bar and get comfortable with shooting bucks at one caliber, so you raise the bar a little bit and you shoot them at the next caliber, and letting them go. I learned more on the seasons where I did not shoot a buck and did not fill a tag than I did on the seasons when I did fill a tag, because I just had so much more time in the woods on the seasons I was unsuccessful. So there's something to be said for setting a goal and sticking with it, and that's something I always encourage folks to do, but at the same time, I don't encourage them to follow someone else's goals. Set your own goals and, make yourself happy. You don't have to shoot 200-inch deer to be happy in the deer woods, so do whatever it takes to make you happy, but don't compromise your goals.
So I've always had a dream and I guess a goal of shooting a 200-inch buck. I didn't know that would ever come close to happening, and shot one in 2016 in Kansas that scored 199 and 5/8. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Well, you don't get much closer than that.
Nope, close. Good enough for who it's for. That's what I say.
All right.
Well, looking forward to meeting you and looking forward to your seminar on Saturday, April 6th. And Don, it was a pleasure. Thanks for going on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jamie. I look forward to meeting you.
Doesn't he sound like a cool dude? That's Don Higgins, Deer Hunting and Habitat Seminar coming up at Shoepex on Saturday, April 6th at 1 o'clock. So, again, call ahead. Tell them that you're going to come. A lot of these kind of seminars or days in the field or boot camps, they cost a bunch of money. And there's no charge for this whatsoever. So just check it out.